Hey everyone, it's Tuesday, which means it's my time. So this week is our coming out stories. Mine starts about, I guess, when I was 20, so about four and a half years ago, right before I was 20. I really kind of figured out that this is who I am. I guess I would be a late bloomer because of the way I was raised or whatnot. Randall's actually one of the first people to help me realize this about myself, so props to Randall. Another group of friends in Cool Springs area was the breaking point of, it's like, okay, you know, it's kind of not necessarily cool, but at the same time, there's others like me that are very open, and so it was just time. Kind of fell in love, but when I look back on it now, it was not love. It was that genuine friendship, that attraction to how open he was, to where I don't know, it just pulled me in. I came out to my friends that next semester, so junior year of college, starting off. They took it, I mean, it was one of those, oh, well, we were just waiting on you kind of thing. But they wanted to be respectful of me and wanted me to figure it out myself before they really kind of, I guess, pulled me out of the closet. That spring semester, I was having nightmares about telling my parents because of the whole ministry thing. I just kept seeing Mom in the corner crying and Dad telling me, get all your shit out of the house. You're no longer our son. Kind of being the shunned kid since I was a minister's kid. Sorry, my face keeps itching. I finally just couldn't take it anymore. I had a 3-hour break in classes one day, second day that semester, and I drove down. So it's almost the 4-year anniversary, maybe like a week past, of when I told my parents. Had to do it at the church, so that was interesting, in Dad's church office. An hour and a half discussion. The first 45 minutes was pretty much, well, first about 30, I guess, was about their view on homosexuality. It wasn't the way I dressed. It wasn't anything, how I acted, any of my clothes or anything like that, my hairstyles. It was, to them, sexual feelings towards the same sex. That's all it was. So, horn bags, or horn dogs. Ooh, horn bags, what the fuck? And then the other pretty much hour of the conversation was, well, you need to read this chapter, you need to dive into this. This is the best description of Jesus' life and the way we should be walking and working. And I just, you know, I was like, okay, this is not what I wanted to hear. This is not what I needed to hear. They weren't ready to hear it. So I kind of, I guess, distanced myself a little bit. But then the clincher was a couple weeks later. I can remember exactly where we were at. We were at Zaxby's in Lebanon. When you walk in the door to the right, it was the second booth from the end. Just supposed to have a nice dinner, and then near the end of the conversation, of course, it was brought up again because it was so fresh. And they pretty much told me they had a counselor friend of theirs waiting for me if I wanted to accept it. Because I'd already figured it out myself, I didn't feel like I needed that. Plus, also, I didn't feel like I needed it with a Christian counselor. I probably could have handled real therapy and been okay with that, but the fact they had a Christian counselor waiting for me, I didn't want the views tainted. I didn't want them to be closed-minded just like my parents were. But then the end of the conversation was Mom started crying and pretty much just told me, she was like, I just don't want you to die of any diseases. Really, Mom? You've trained me well enough to know that I'm going to be careful, I'm going to be safe. At the same time, I can understand her concern as a parent. With how closed-minded they were, it was easy for them to instantly think that. After that, I was like, you're not ready to listen, so I pretty much took it upon myself not to talk about it. Let me take you a step back first, though. The day after I told them, or maybe even a phone call later that night, they pretty much were like, hey, is there any way you can't post this on Facebook? Like, please kind of pretty much stay in the closet about it publicly. I was like, okay, whatever, that's fine. I'll respect you in that aspect because of your position in the church. So I did for about 4 years. I tried to, I never really posted anything. I tried to remove tags if people would post me at play or in pictures. Like, I tried to be, I guess, overprotective of them, and it just killed me. About the second month of the relationship with Hunter, I couldn't do it anymore. The whole last month before I told them about Hunter, every time I ate dinner with them, I just wanted to say it, and I just couldn't. You can ask Randall. I just would text him and be like, I feel like I'm going to throw up. Like, I couldn't. I just couldn't do it anymore. So finally one night, I decided it was the night I was going to tell him. We were at Cheeseburger Charlie's on my break at work, or after work. Mom was asking me who I was hanging out with these days. And, okay, this is perfect. So I told him, well, I've been hanging out with my boyfriend. Dad had kind of seen a post I'd made about Hunter's birthday. He kind of had suspicions of it and knew the first thing out of his mouth was, we want to meet him. Well, I want to meet him. And I was like, whoa. Internally, I was happy, but at the same time, I was like, who is this man sitting in front of me? And then my mom was like, well, he didn't tell me anything about this post, so I had no idea. She cried a couple times, but they did pretty well. And then they looked at me and they were like, we still want you to be able to bring your people around. No, they didn't say it like that. Still want you to bring anyone around that you want to. Pretty much rather know what's going on than not. And then me feel like I'm living a lie all over again. That was really mature and really great of them to see how far they've come in 4 years. It was awesome. I was actually able to bring Hunter to the Thanksgiving dinner with me and my parents. Awkward, but it was good. My mom put it best one night, and she said, we could never disown you or never stop loving you because our love for you is so strong. It's not the love that we're supposed to show, you know, as Christians. We're not supposed to, you know, hate or be that kind of manner. So she was like, still feel free to bring your friends around or do whatever, but she's like, we love you too much to ever do that. They're working on it just as much as, you know, me and Hunter are working on our relationship, or me and any other friendships I have. It's kind of cool because now I can talk about it. I can tell it still bothers them sometimes, but they've come such a long way. It's finally internal peace with me, I guess, a little bit. They haven't fully accepted me, but at the same time, I can be more of myself. It's bittersweet. I told him, I was like, I've respected y'all for 4 years. It's time to respect myself and be able to talk about it. I was waiting for the moment where I had, you know, a serious relationship to where I could at least bring it back up and then deal with it then. And Hunter's been very supportive and very good about it because his parents are fully supportive. One of the first things we talked about was the fact that my parents didn't agree with it. He was like, well, we're in a relationship, so we'll deal with it when time will come. That also helped encourage me to have such a supportive partner. I guess the last thing to do is to kind of tell them, I mean, they probably know about Ivy, but at the same time, still need to talk to them about it at some point, but it'll be in the near future, so keep posted. I'll report back, don't worry. For all those out there that are having hard times like I did and some of us did, I mean, it gets easier. My parents I never thought would come around this far, and 4 years later, here they are. If you're going through a rough time with any of your family or any of your parentals or even friends of yours, if they're friends of yours, they're not really your friends because nothing about you has changed. You're just actually living your life as you instead of living a lie. People used to call me the fakest person they know because they knew who I was, but I did. It's not like I chose to be fake. I just didn't fully understand it because of the way I was raised and being in such a small town. It gets better. Love you guys. Bye.